going on, guys? Anthropix here. So, welcome to my first video of 2020. And my first video of 2020 is going to be the state of Virginia just came out with some new interesting polling data that actually potentially shows Virginia being a lot closer than a lot of people expected. So, I want to look into the polls a little more and see if there actually is something to this, and will Virginia actually be really competitive in 2020? So, to start off, this polling was by Mason Dixon, the polling firm in Virginia. And you see the senator out of Washington, D.C. and Jacksonville, Florida. They're a pretty reliable polling firm, I'd say. They've gotten a lot of stuff right over the past, 10 years. And I kind of put them in that same group as kind of NBC, Emerson. A lot of them were this is more of a state level poll, but this is still, pretty reliable. So here's just the general polling data of President Trump up against the four leading Democratic candidates. So right now, President Trump trails Joe Biden by 4 points, which is, in my opinion, is kind of expected. Joe Biden, very establishmentarian. That's kind of the perfect Democrat for Virginia. Interestingly enough, though, well, technically he's within the margin of error, but Trump versus Warren, Trump is beating Elizabeth Warren by 4. Trump is beating Bernie Sanders by 6, which is definitely the big surprise for me. And then Trump is beating Pete Buttigieg by 2. That one I kind of saw coming, because I had a feeling Trump would beat Buttigieg in Virginia by a little bit in polling, but would still probably lose, because Pete Buttigieg can still appeal to a lot of the moderate Virginia voters. But what's most interesting right now is that the fact President Trump is polling pretty good in Virginia, actually, despite the fact that he really didn't put any effort into winning the state of Virginia last time. And not to mention, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Virginia right now. I don't know if you've been keeping up with it, but if not, there's a few things going on. There's the whole abortion issue with Governor Northam and whether or not he'd make same-day abortion when the baby's born legal. That was a big thing that was going on. And then Governor Northam wants to put in a law where he wants to use the National Guard to come in and take away groups' guns or militias' guns or something like that. And the National Guard apparently is saying, no way, we're not doing that. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on in Virginia. And it's sparking a lot of outrage, and that could potentially make this race closer for President Trump. It sounds crazy because Virginia's been trending blue in every election. And I've been saying for a while, Virginia is going to keep going blue unless something absolutely drastic happens. And could all this anti-Second Amendment stuff be drastic enough to flip Virginia back? I don't know. I mean, the more progressive socialist candidates like Warren and Sanders appear to be losing to Trump in the polls. But will it be enough? I'm not sure. So let's look into the poll itself. This is President Trump versus Joe Biden head-to-head. Oh, excuse me. No, first we're going to do... I'm sorry, I'm skipping a little bit. This is the overall approval ratings of the candidates. So Joe Biden has 51% approval, a 33% disapproval, and 16% neutral or don't care. And this is, again, kind of in line with what I thought. Joe Biden, establishment Democrat, everyone in D.C. knows him, everyone in Washington knows him. They know his name. He's going to be well approved of. President Trump, this actually surprises me a little bit. President Trump, 45%. Unfavorable, 48%. President Trump, 45% favorable. Unfavorable, 48%. And neutral, 7%. If you put that in context with the Real Clear Politics average, President Trump's approval rating of Virginia is technically more favorable than the national average, which is mind-blowing, really. Last time I checked, President Trump is around 44% nationwide, according to Real Clear Politics. Again, I would argue it's a little higher, but based off that, President Trump's approval in the state of Virginia is higher than his national average, according to Real Clear Politics, which is very interesting. Seeing again as Virginia is a more swing state that's going a lot more liberal and kind of reliably liberal every election now, that a lot of Republicans are considering abandoning altogether. And President Trump in this poll is making a case that maybe they shouldn't do that yet. Maybe they should look into spending money because I have a lot of it raised up. Maybe they should look into spending in Virginia. But anyway, Elizabeth Warren, very unapproved of here. 36% favorable, 51% unfavorable. Bernie Sanders, very similar. 35% favorable, 52% unfavorable. The Bernie Sanders one surprises me more than the Elizabeth Warren one, to be honest. Elizabeth Warren, the Medicare for All and everything, is very unpopular in a lot of more moderate establishmentarian states. But Bernie Sanders, I feel like he still has some African American appeal that I thought would be enough to help in Virginia. Elizabeth Warren doesn't really have that, but it doesn't really seem like there's much of a difference. And then Pete Buttigieg at 33% to 30%. Not really too well known with 21% recognizable, neutral. Kind of shows he doesn't really have too much of a divisive name. So now we're going to do the individual matchups and individual demographics. So Joe Biden versus President Trump. Biden leads 49-45. So what happens in the breakdown? Well, among men, President Trump wins with 54 or 51% to Joe Biden's 44%, with 5% being undecided. So those numbers we've kind of seen. President Trump, I think, if he were to win, because this is the problem. Joe Biden for President Trump. Joe Biden wins with women 54% to Trump's 39%, with 7% undecided. For Trump to lose by those margins, he would literally have to win all of those undecided votes to get that 54-46, and even then, he needs to bring that men margin a little bit bigger, because a lot of suburban women are going against President Trump. I mean, 2016, Trump did very well, but 2018 proved that. A lot of these special elections proved that a lot of suburban women and suburban voters are going away from President Trump, and he needs a lot of those voters if he's going to win again. So I think Trump needs to do a little better. Well, he needs to do better with women, but if he can, he needs to do a little bit better with men to try and counterbalance that. Among Democrats, Joe Biden gets 87%. President Trump gets 9%, interestingly, which is actually a pretty big number, and 4% undecided. And for Trump, this is the good news for President Trump. 92% of Republicans support him, 3% support Joe Biden, which is not that much, and 5% are undecided there. This is also good news for President Trump. Independents support Trump over Biden 48-43. Now 9% undecided, so that can still go either way. But the fact that Trump has the early lead over independents now, that's definitely a good sign for him. These are where the numbers get kind of not really so great for President Trump. President Trump wins white voters 57-37, 6% undecided. He'll probably win most of those undecided votes. But African American vote, Trump gets 5%, Biden gets 90%, undecided is 5% as well. Trump needs a bigger percentage of the African American vote to win the state of Virginia than that. President Trump needs to break 10% without a doubt to make Virginia really competitive. And at 5%, he's not going to get it done. But yeah, so that's President Trump versus Joe Biden. Honestly, not the worst situation for President Trump. Joe Biden obviously has a steady lead right now, and if Joe Biden, all he has to do really is maintain this lead that he has now, Joe Biden will probably win Virginia. But President Trump's really not in the worst situation against Joe Biden in Virginia. Trump versus Elizabeth Warren. Trump's up 48-44. This is very good news for President Trump, actually. Among men, Trump is winning 59-35. That's the type of margins he needs against Biden, too. He won't be getting it probably, but that's the type of margins Trump's going to need. Against women, this is why. Warren's going to get 53, and Trump's going to get 38. It's almost like an exact reversal. That's exactly what Trump needs to do. Warren is going to blow out on the women vote, and she's going to get a big percentage of the women vote. Trump needs to counterbalance with a big percentage of the man vote, and hopefully the independents will make it up. And that's what Trump seems to be doing against Elizabeth Warren in these polls. Trump gets 10% of the Democrats' vote, and compared to Warren's 82%, which is actually, again, good news for Trump. A lot of people aren't too crazy about Elizabeth Warren, who are more moderate, who don't like things such as Medicare for all and such. So President Trump is able to win some of those Democratic votes, and there's still 8% left undecided. So if President Trump can win some of those undecided votes too, that'll only pad his lead. Meanwhile, you look at Republicans, 94% support President Trump to 2% that support Warren. We're kind of seeing this nationwide in a lot of early polling. There's a lot of very devoted Republicans who are going to support President Trump pretty much no matter what. There are a lot of Democrats who will support the Democratic candidates no matter what, but there's more of a polling division, meaning the people more likely to break away from a certain candidate. Trump's base is more, I think, devoted and passionate behind him to vote for him than I think Warren or Sanders or any of these people's bases are. Because they haven't really been proven yet. Trump's has been proven time and time again already. And Warren's and Sanders, we haven't really seen it yet. Sanders is 2016, but we haven't really seen how he's going to fare in like a 16 race primary field compared to a two-way field. So we'll have to see on that. But Trump's polling very good against Elizabeth Warren. Trump's polling amazing with independents. I mean, the truth is, when it comes to elections, it's won by independents. There aren't enough Republicans and the Democrats in this country to win by just winning all Republicans and 0 Democrats, or vice versa. You need to win over the independents, and against Warren, Trump is doing that. Trump's getting 56% of the independent vote, 33% for Warren, 11% undecided. Trump will probably get some of those undecided votes left as well. Those are very good numbers for President Trump, and if he can do that on Election Day, and Elizabeth Warren is the nominee, keep an eye on the state of Virginia. You never know. So, how's it going up against race? Trump wins about 59% of the white vote. Elizabeth Warren, 34%, 7% undecided. Those are very good numbers for President Trump. Elizabeth Warren, really, it's kind of what you expect. Can't really be asking for too much. Troubling numbers for Elizabeth Warren, though. She only gets 80% of the African-American vote. Trump gets 10% already, with 10% undecided. That means if he gains on that, that's very, very bad news for Elizabeth Warren, and potentially a lot of the other Democrats down ballot. That could be a big problem for them. Bernie Sanders versus President Trump. This is one, I'll be honest, this one kind of shocked me, as I mentioned earlier. I think of all the Democrats, I thought Bernie Sanders has the most devoted followers and fan base that could beat Trump. Not in this poll. Trump actually breaks 50% on this. He gets 51%, Sanders 45%, 4% undecided. So Trump technically gets a majority of the vote. The first poll where he's getting a majority, nobody else did. And how does that happen? Well, Trump's getting 57% of the man vote to Bernie Sanders' 40% of the man vote. But that's really nothing new with 3% undecided. That's nothing new. Then look at the woman vote, Trump versus Sanders. Trump gets 46%. Bernie Sanders only gets 49%. Bernie Sanders is the first Democrat not to get a majority of the women vote in these polls. That's really not good for Bernie Sanders if he is the nominee and these numbers hold. Again, this is only one poll, nothing set in stone. But if this is actually what happens, this is bad news for Bernie Sanders. Granted, there are 5% undecided, and he still has a 3-point lead. 3 points is way within the margin of error. Bernie Sanders needs to do way better with women, and at these margins compared to the men margin, President Trump will beat Bernie Sanders in the state of Virginia if this is how it votes. This Democrats, 13% go for President Trump. That, I believe, is the highest number we've seen so far. Again, more moderate Democrats. Maybe they don't like Trump's attitude, but they like his economy and policies way better than Medicare for all and all this other socialist stuff Bernie Sanders wants to do. President Trump gets 13% of the Democrats, Bernie Sanders 83%. Not as good as numbers as Bernie Sanders needs. He needs to be above 90% to have strong support among Democrats. Why? Because look what President Trump's doing. 96% of Republican votes against Bernie Sanders. 96%. Back in 2016, I think President Trump got somewhere between 88 and 92%. I'm not sure if it was 88 or 92. But President Trump got around, I think, those margins it was. And now he's up at 96. Bernie Sanders can't afford to miss one voter if President Trump's getting almost basically basically 9.6, but 9 out of 10 Republicans to vote for him. If Trump's doing that, Bernie Sanders needs to get every Democrat to vote for him that he can. And then, just like Warren, the independents, Trump is crushing Bernie Sanders on the independents. 60-34, 6% undecided. Trump is killing Bernie Sanders on that. Bernie's got to improve or he's going to lose the state of Virginia if these numbers hold up. White voters, Trump gets 61%, Sanders 36%. A bigger margin than Trump versus Warren, I believe. That's not good news with Bernie Sanders. Again, this one surprised me. Trump, 14% of the African-American vote. Bernie Sanders, only 77%. I thought Bernie Sanders' better African-American appeal to that. Everyone in my comment section I've always seen says, "What are you talking about? You're an idiot. Bernie Sanders has excellent African-American support." In this poll, I'm not seeing it. This poll is not showing that right now. And there's still 9% undecided, which allows Trump to even patent his lead a little, or patent a little more growth in the African-American column. I don't know what's going on. But maybe Bernie Sanders isn't as unbeatable as a lot of people think. And now back to Trump's still winning here, but back to semi-researching numbers for the Democrats. Trump versus Buttigieg. Trump's only up 2. If it's up 3 points or less, I really am skeptical because that's usually within the margin of error. Trump versus Buttigieg, 8% undecided. Trump gets 56% of the man vote, Buttigieg 37, 7% undecided. Still, numbers aren't good for the Democrats, but that's kind of expected. Buttigieg gets 52% of the women vote, 39% go to Trump. That's a lot better. That's what a Democrat needs to do to win in a state like Virginia. Trump gets 11% of the Democrats' vote. Buttigieg gets 84%. That's not looking too good. Buttigieg has got to win more of the Democrats' vote. He got to get above 90% to compete with Trump. Because again, here comes Trump, 92% of Republicans. Buttigieg only gets 3% of Democrats. You're trying to tell me Trump is able to get 11% of Democrats? Buttigieg can only get 3% of Republicans? It's just like all the other candidates, too. If Trump's getting double digits from your own party, you have to be getting double digits from his party as well. If not, it's going to be a very rude night on Election Day in November for you. And now independents, Trump gets 53%, Buttigieg gets 33%, 14% undecided. Those numbers seem really big, and that is a problem for Buttigieg. However, that 14% can very quickly go to Buttigieg. It'll be 53-47. It'll still be good for Trump and be bad for Buttigieg, but it'll look a lot better than 33%. I guarantee you it's not going to be that wide of a margin, probably, in Virginia, if it is Buttigieg. Among white voters, Trump gets 58%, Buttigieg gets 35%, 7% undecided. And that was this whole thing that Pete Buttigieg, African-American voters don't really like him. Well, 10% go to President Trump, 79% Pete Buttigieg. If that's the case, and that 11% goes to President Trump, that's 21% African-American vote. No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Buttigieg will do well enough with African-American votes to probably win the state of Virginia against President Trump. I think the African-Americans will never vote for Pete Buttigieg thing is kind of a sham that the media is trying to put it out there because they don't really want Buttigieg to win. Or maybe they think he can't beat Trump. I don't know. But Buttigieg will do better than 79% with African Americans. I think he'll probably get at least 85%, I'd say. Trump will probably do a lot better with African Americans to get more support. But for now, I think that Trump will probably do a little bit better. But Buttigieg will win that. So just a little on how this poll was conducted. Some things I kind of briefly talked about. 625 registered Virginia voters were interviewed live through phone. They were randomly selected from Phone Match Virginia voter registration. The margin for error in this poll by most were no more than 4+%. So like I said, I said 3%. My rule of thumb has always been 3%, but pretty much same concept, 3-4%. So even if Trump is winning by 4 or Trump's losing by 4, take it with a grain of salt. But when you're Bernie Sanders and you're losing by 6, okay, maybe that's something we need to take a look at. But yeah, I think most polls are 3 to 4 points. I typically go with 3. I'll take the more cautious approach and make sure, I want to see a consistent trend. It's one thing to see one poll like this and say, oh, Trump's going to win Virginia. I don't think Trump's going to win Virginia really yet at all. If this is a trend that we keep seeing over the next few months leading up to Election Day where Trump consistently leads and his lead grows, then I'll say, all right, now there's a possibility. But right now, Trump's winning against 3 out of the 4 Democrats and a margin of error for most of them. I would say for now, I'd be hesitant. If you're a Trump supporter, these numbers are definitely encouraging, but I wouldn't say he's going to win Virginia yet. And if you're a Democrat candidate supporter, if you're a Bernie supporter, or Biden, or Warren, or Buttigieg, honestly, right now, these are something you should pay attention to, and you should start to really look into how good are the Democrats campaigning and getting their message out, because it's not like Election Day. Politically, it's around the corner, but you really don't have to worry about Virginia too much. I expect Virginia will still go to the Democrats, but if these polls continue to show that the Democrats are losing in Virginia, well, then they're in for a rude awakening when it comes to Wisconsin or Pennsylvania. I can tell you that. So yeah, that was a recap of the Virginia Mason-Dixon President Trump versus the top 4 Democratic polls. Please like and subscribe for this video. I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and tap the bell icon so you get notified whenever I post a video. You can hit the subscribe button down below in the description, or you can also tap the little subscribe button that should be on your screen in the lower bottom right. It takes less than half a second, and by you doing that, it really helps me out and helps my channel out. Please leave a comment below telling me what you think of the video, how you interpreted the poll, and what you think about it. Please let me know if you have any video ideas or any other polling video ideas. Please let me know if you like this video, if you would like me to make more kind of recapping recent polls that come out. It can be national polls or swing state polls. Please let me know what you think. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe again, and I'll see you in the next video.